Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the opening ceremony of this year's Africa Awareness Initiative Conference Week.
Woo!
I'll be one of your masters of ceremony tonight. My name is Chisala Chamaombe. I'm a third-year International Relations and Economics student from Zambia. I have been involved with the African Awareness Initiative for the past 2 years.
And I'm Daniel Mundeva. I'm a fourth-year geography student from Tanzania. I have served under the AAI's president's portfolio for over 2 years, but some people refer to me as the AAI's Special Forces, whatever that means. And I'm honored to be emceeing this wonderful event with Ms. Chamaombe.
Oh, thank you. I'm honored to be emceeing with you too, Daniel.
But before we commence, we would like to acknowledge that UBC and MOA recognizes that we are located on the traditional territory of the Musqueam people. UBC, MOA, and Africa Awareness Initiative have a long-standing relationship with the Musqueam people. And tonight, to welcome us to this wonderful territory is Elder Larry Grant. Please help me to welcome him to the podium.
Thank you. It's really my pleasure to be here, my honor. I would like to begin by saying a few words in our language. Siem Tnasiya, Stikon Siatala, Tamogalap, Hui Namet, Tana Hunan, Hui Ti, Tasas Kamokut Musqueam, Tneed UBC, Setism to need to swallow. Just wanted to say thank you to the organizers of this conference for having me here and recognizing that this is the traditional territory of the Hunkaminam speaking Musqueam people. Our ancestors, Kayapalano and Koltimolto, were here to greet the first visitors to this land. And I also do that this evening by raising my hands in welcome. Our ancestor Kayapalano had a fortified house site right in this area and lived here along with his families and the other warriors that were here, and also had a home at Jericho. It's Ayalmuch in our language, and also had a home over in the North Shore at Humaltson, which is now known as the Capilano Indian Reserve. So that he had 3 houses and 3 families. But we come from the first peoples of this land. We're the first ones here in this territory, stemming back approximately 9,000 years. And we have lived continuously in our winter village called Musqueam for 4,000 years or more. The archaeological evidence is there. And it's really, really nice to be here to start off Africa Awareness Week because during 2011, we had what we call the dialogue circles co-hosted by the City of Vancouver and other sponsors regarding First Nations and immigrants. Our scientists here say that we share the DNA stemming from the Rift Valley in Africa, and the world knows about that. However, the world does not know that there are first peoples that have lived here for thousands and thousands of years. They believe Canada is only English and French, and then allowing others to come in. So having Africa Awareness Week really is a great, wonderful thing because I grew up very close to Hogan's Alley in the downtown east side. I went to school in that area, in Strathcona. as a child. And for those of you that do not know what Hogan's Alley represents, it represents the Black African community that lived here in the very early days of Vancouver. So there's quite a bit of things that we need to know more about each other so that we can live and prosper and be more, I would say, humane to each other. And that's why I say so much about Africa Awareness Week, and it's a really wonderful thing to be here. And again, on behalf of the Hunt Community speaking Musqueam people, I really wish the conference well, and I also wish you a good week here in the traditional territory of the Hunt Community speaking Musqueam people. Tsepa, thank you.
Thank you very much, Elder Larry Grant, for your words of wisdom. And as a representative of the Musqueam people, your contribution and your presence are much appreciated. In addition, we would like to acknowledge the presence of the following people: the Vice President of Students, Louise Cowan, Dr. Gloria Onyoziri and Dr. Robert Miller, members of the African Studies Committee, faculty members, admin, and staff of UBC.
We also recognize the presence of members of the community at large, members of the movement, that is the Africa Awareness Movement, representatives of various clubs and student organizations here at UBC, conference partners and sponsors, past executive members of the movement, and the current leadership. So, Giselle, what is this year's theme for the Africa Awareness Conference Week?
Okay, so in case everyone doesn't know, every conference week has a specific theme, and this year the theme is From Africa with Love.
From Africa with Love. Indeed. I couldn't be happier with the theme, Mr. Maombe. In case you're just wondering what this week is all about, I would love to inform you that it is going to be a showcase of Africa's invaluable contribution to the sciences, humanities, and the creative art, as we have mapped those ideas on your brochure. This year is all about celebrating the Africa that has today become the leader, the innovator, and the inspiration to the world. Mr. Maombe, what do you think is the greatest gift that Africa has to offer to the world?
Well, as author and British journalist Richard Dowden once said, the greatest gift Africa offers the rest of the world is the gift of humanity. And as he elaborated further, he made it clear that he was making reference to the heart of the African people. The atmosphere of joy, of love, and of acceptance that Mother Africa provides to anyone who is willing to take it is indeed a gift, Daniel, and a very important one at that.
That's deep, Ms. Chamama. It's very good. But wait a minute. Do we have anybody else in the audience brave enough to share with us, be it an object or an experience that they had from Africa that they think is a great gift that Africa has given to the world? Is there anybody brave enough down there? Do I see hands? Yes.
I volunteered in the student in Southern Africa, and when I was last there, we sponsored girls in high school there, and I had a relationship with one of our girls' parents and all of her family, and they came to see me and asked where I was staying, and they told me
Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for that valuable contribution. And now, ladies and gentlemen, at this point in time, I would like to call upon Ms. Mahek Tejani, who is a fourth-year economics student from Tanzania. Ms. Tejani has been actively involved with the African movement for the last 3 years. The various roles she has played have not only helped shape the African Awareness Initiative, but they have helped move the initiative forward. She is the former Vice President External, and she currently serves as the President of the Africa Awareness Initiative. Please welcome her.
Thank you. Your Excellency, Dr. Mathabo Tsepa, Elder Larry Grant, Vice President Students Louis Cohen, Faculty Deans, founding and current members of the African Studies Committee, faculty members, UBC staff, distinguished guests from the wider community, members of the movement, and my fellow students. Good evening to you all and a warm welcome. Welcome to the 2012 Africa Awareness Conference Week, From Africa with Love. We are absolutely thrilled to have you all part of this very special week, a week that is dedicated to our beautiful continent, a week that celebrates the strides of our motherland and that focuses on the sometimes forgotten and sadly overlooked facet of Africa, the facet that includes its beauty, its diversity, leadership, and progress. UBC, as most of us know, was established in 1908. It was 94 years after that, in 2002, that the Africa Awareness Initiative was founded. AAI came into existence with one motive. And that motive, and hopefully our founding members over here agree, was to bring forward the true face of Africa at UBC. To bring forward the Africa that was rarely mentioned in the media. The Africa that wasn't always the victim of history textbooks. The Africa that should be discussed for its remarkable and unique literature. The Africa that should be known for its leading innovations. We were born in 2002 to tell UBC the true African story. And we are here today to write another chapter of only the most exciting story the world has ever read. Universities are places where ideas are born. Stories are shared, perspectives are acknowledged, assumptions are contested, and identities are shaped. As we participate in the sharing of our varied knowledges, let us not forget that the world's first and oldest running university is in fact in Morocco, in Africa. Let us not forget that of the 20 female presidents that the world has today, one of them was democratically elected in Liberia. And as we talk about sustainability and take pride in being the most sustainable university in Canada, let us not forget of Professor Wangari Maathai of Kenya, the founder of the Green Belt movement that encouraged the planting of trees since 1977. There is so much that Africa has to offer and has already offered. Let us not forget of its innumerable contributions to our world. I personally believe that Africa is slowly and steadily taking over the world, and not only in my fantasies. 2011 was Africa at its greatest. The 2011 Nobel Peace Prize was awarded to President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf and Lima Bowie for their efforts and ambitious in empowering and strengthening the position of women in Liberia. Former President of Ghana, John Agyekum Kufuor, received the 2011 Nobel Prize for Food and Agriculture. The Civil Society of North Africa piloted one of the biggest and most innovative uprisings that the world had ever seen. Social media was taken to another level altogether, and change was brought about by normal citizens, just like you and I. And speaking of change, that's what we're all here for. That's what we're told every single day of our lives, that each one of us is capable of bringing about change. So why not give us the opportunity here at UBC to bring about the change in perception? Why not support the formation of an African Studies major program that allows students to engage critically with Africa? Why not create a platform in the academia that allows students to learn and even sometimes experience some of the leading changes happening in the continent? Why not give us an opportunity to share with others our African pride? And no, we're not being boastful, although we like to do that sometimes as well. We realize that Africa, like other continents, has its own fair share of problems to deal with. But what we truly believe is that it's up to us to fix those problems. And this is why AAI this year has added a new goal to its UBC African Dream campaign, that of leadership. We realize that the leadership that Africa requires right now and in the coming future starts right here with us students. It is our sincere hope that those of us who have been given the privilege to study at this remarkable university build on our skills and our leadership qualities. For what is the point of accumulating knowledge if it's not in the service of our own society? And I hope that Dr. Mathabo Tsepa agrees with that statement. Dr. Tsepa, we are so privileged and so honored to have you here with us today. We are truly inspired by your work. Your achievements while you were here at UBC with the Go Global program, with Africa Awareness Initiative, and globally now representing your country, your love for Africa, and your passion to bring about change are a living testament of what each one of us is capable of achieving. And we can only aspire to follow your footsteps to serve our continents as you so gracefully continue to do so. Lastly, I would like to take this opportunity to express my sincere and deepest gratitude to everyone present here. We thank you, the UBC community, for giving us the plentiful opportunities to learn and build on our leadership qualities. To all our supporters and sponsors, we most humbly thank you for always having our back and for believing in us. To everyone who is here with us today, we thank you for taking the time out to hear our story. We hope that you join us for the rest of our conference week so that we can work together to build on the UBC African story. We hope that you join us in celebrating our beautiful continent, and we hope that you join us for this very dear and very special week. Thank you.
Thank you for those phenomenal opening remarks, Mr. Jani. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure you can all agree with me that another gift that Africa gives the rest of the world is the gift of song. And here to present that gift to you tonight are singers Joy Richu, Maneo Mokhale, and Tsepa Moyo. They will be singing a Kikuyu and Zulu piece. This piece is a combination of 3 well-known songs in both respective cultures that comes together beautifully in rhythm and harmony. Please welcome them.
ungabokhala uJehova wakho uzokunqobela thula sizwe ungabokhala uJehova wakho uzokunqobela thula sizwe thula sizwe ungabokhala uJehova wakho uzokunqobela thula sizwe thula sizwe
In Swahili we have a saying, huo wimbo unaweza ukamtoa nyoka pangoni, which means that song could get a snake to get out of the hole by itself. You don't have to do anything, which we could translate it as saying that if you're feeling really bad, like you have that snake in you bothering you, after that you feel relaxed. Thank you very, very, very much for that wonderful performance. And I think they deserve another round of applause. And now I have this great honor to bring to the podium somebody who has helped us get this wonderful space that we're here tonight. She's the curator for Africa at this Museum of Anthropology. She's also an associate member in the Department of Anthropology here at UBC, and she's a devoted member of the African Studies program. She's also a strong supporter of our movement. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me in welcoming Dr. Carol Mayer.
Thanks. Wow, how do you follow that? Welcome to the Museum of Anthropology, and Thank you, ladies, for bringing such beautiful sounds and life to the Great Hall. And it is something that happens here quite frequently. And there is something very special about all these poles around you being also honoured by your presence. Thank you. I would also like to offer a special welcome to Her Excellency Dr. Mathabo Tsepa, High Commissioner of Lesotho in Canada, and to the organisers of this conference, especially the African Awareness Initiative Executive and the many volunteers that really make these things happen. It is a great honour for our museum to partner with African Awareness, and I truly hope that we will continue to do so into the future. I sense you have an amazing conference ahead of you, and clearly it will be full of love. I would like to take a few moments of your time for a little bit of a sort of formal presentation. I apologize for that. But I think it's important sometimes to bring a formal note into proceedings, especially when African Awareness and African Studies have fought so long and so hard to be accepted and to infiltrate the bureaucracy of UBC. And so it is a little formal, so I will read it to you. I would first of all like to note that the Museum of Anthropology, MOA, has a long history of a collaborative approach to our research, our teaching, and to our exhibitions. Our current director, Dr. Anthony Shelton, has worked with many African collections and was responsible, prior to coming here, for creating the African Worlds exhibition at the Horniman Museum in London, England. It was lauded for its collaboration with Afro-British communities, as well as colleagues based in museums in Africa, the director of the National Museum in Benin, and the director of the Nigerian National Commission for Museums and Monuments. The exhibition also showed how the cultures of the Caribbean and of Brazil have been indelibly influenced by the African populations. It was this philosophy of working collaboratively plus an interest in African arts that enabled him to fit so well with MOA's commitment to community, which, as I've mentioned, is based on collaboration, and he has some very exciting ideas for the future. We're also about to welcome a new assistant director, Dr. Nuno Porto from the University of Coimbra in Portugal. And his research focus has been working with the Dondo Museum in Angola, where he has been collaborating with a team responsible for creating new programming. He also worked on a community-based arts project on pottery in the Republic of Cape Verde. His work has resulted in interest in the wider circulation of ideas, forms, and materials in relation to the discourse around the nature of what is generally called, and quotes, African material culture. He is looking forward to contributing to the expansion of MOA's collections and in the building of closer partnerships with communities both on campus and in the Lower Mainland. So clearly you have two very powerful advocates here at the Museum of Anthropology. I am very, very honoured to have represented MOA on the African Studies Steering Committee and getting to know an amazing group of people that included Gloria Onyezuri and Robert Miller, who never ever lost the energy or the commitment to ensure that African Studies gained a presence on campus. MOA supported this initiative from its inception in 2005 and has contributed financially to its success and has been very privileged to be part of some of the courses, portions of which are taught here at MOA. I'm personally committed to the cementing of this partnership even more by encouraging MOA, which happens to be the oldest teaching museum in Canada, to be an indispensable affiliate to the teaching and dissemination of knowledge about cultural values and traditions, memory, adaptation, and change. Students in African Studies have been introduced to our collections and have been invited to apply their classroom-based learning to critique how collections are organised and labelled, and how these do or do not challenge models and some of our preconceived notions. And finally, I've been working with the 2,800 or more pieces in the African collections for the last dozen years or so, and I have spent much of this time working towards changing the public's perception of Africa as a single entity, a homogeneous kind of entity, and museum collections as solely remnants of colonialism. Our African collections date to the 1930s. They're amongst our earliest collections here in the museum, and the first donation came from the Democratic Republic of Congo, then known as Zaire, and was connected typically by a colonial officer who donated it to the university. The collections have been added to over the years in a rather passive way, but not with any really coherent direction until more recently. The result, of course, is an eclectic and uneven collection, and I think wherever you travel in the Western world, you will find this true of all African collections, sadly. We have conducted workshops, we've invited input from local communities, we have worked with students towards doing a better job with the collection, all this with the objective of unraveling some of the Western classification systems that are unable to incorporate diverse knowledge systems and intellectual categories, but we have a long way to go. We've had exhibitions that look at collecting practices, a collector's personal collection of African art called Fragments, Reflections on Collecting, a student exhibition of contemporary works called Wearing Politics, Fashioning Commemoration, Factory Printed Cloths of Ghana, the exhibition The Village is Tilting, that addressed how Chewa masks of Malawi are interpreted to relay culturally sensitive information about the ongoing challenges of HIV/AIDS. We hosted the travelling exhibition Man Ray, African Art and the Modernist Lens, that looked at whether it was photography that raised African ethnographic objects to the status of art, or, we might argue, vice versa. And please visit A Green Dress, an exhibition about memory, which is in the gallery over there, and see where Veronica Finn, who introduced me to African awareness way back when, and how she talks about the rather touristy thorn carvings as objects that conjured up memories for her of living in a refugee camp. Today I concentrate on adding contemporary works that can in some way be illustrative of ideas relating to both continuance and change, from the traditional Bamileke elephant mask from Cameroon to the message-laden body maps of South Africa. I list these not to boast, but to share some of the work that has been done, precious little considering how much needs to be done. So I guess this is a call for the continuance and growth of MOA's relationship, both with African awareness and African studies, and the hope that you will continue to consider us a partner in your dream to involve Africa in the creation of global citizens. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Carroll. And on behalf of the Africa Awareness Initiative, I would really love to thank you very much for your continuing support. We really appreciate that, and we look forward to further collaboration with the museum and in the future. And now at this point, I would like to invite the Dean of the Faculty of Education, Dr. Brian Frank, who will say a few words, then proceed to formally invite tonight's keynote speaker, Her Excellency Dr. Tsepa, to the stage. Please help me welcome Dr. Frank.
Good evening, everyone. I feel very honored and privileged to be introducing Her Excellency Dr. Tsepa this evening. As you're well aware, Her Excellency is Lesotho's High Commissioner to Canada since 2010. More importantly for me as the Dean of the Faculty of Education, she holds a PhD in education from the University of British Columbia. We've claimed ownership over each other earlier this evening. Me as her Dean and she as our PhD student. Dr. Tsepa joined our Faculty of Education in January of 2001 as a master's student and graduated in May of 2008 with a PhD in environmental education. She worked closely with a number of my colleagues, several of whom are in the room this evening, Drs. Jolie Myers-Smith, Samson Nishon, Linda Pederat, Joanne Archibald, and Pamela Courtney Hall. Dr. Tsepa's background of having grown up an orphan challenged her to devote her life to improving the lives of orphans in Lesotho. She founded an organization, Mohama Timing, a project in 2004, and we understand that this project is well celebrated as a farmers' cooperative in her home district south of Lesotho. The Mohama Timing project has deepened Lesotho's ties with Canada, where our own UBC engineering students through our Go Global program spend time in community building in that area. Dr. Tsepa is a founding member of the UBC African Awareness Initiative. Moreover, she in the past has coordinated cultural exchanges between the National University of Lesotho and UBC. We understand that more exchanges are planned, and we look forward to that work. That these exchanges will promote cutting-edge best practice research, ideas and policy on place management, including regeneration and new growth areas, social capital, and learning regions. Personally, I am absolutely delighted to welcome you back to the University of British Columbia, particularly on behalf of the Faculty of Education. I bring you welcome from my colleagues. Would you please stand in welcoming Her Excellency, Dr. Tsepa, to our campus.
Thank you, Dean Frank, for that wonderful introduction. My Dean. Bommel Bontate Dumelang. Elder Larry Gary, it's a great honor to see you again. We used to be together a lot in the First Nation House of Learning. Thank you very much for being here today. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. As said by the chairperson, my name is Mathabo. I'm the member of the Hare or the Rabbit clan, and my people are the Basotho in Lesotho, Africa, a land of endless mountains, affectionately known as the Kingdom in the Sky. My name, Mathabo, means the one who brings happiness. And in that spirit, I hope both the short and the long-term outcomes of tonight's message would bring tremendous joy to everyone who is in this room. When I accepted the invitation to speak at this occasion, I did so with an excited sense of coming home and across Africa. When one returns to the place they call home, they take care to create and to pay respect and homage to those they have left behind. I will do so tonight by invoking my traditional Sesotho protocol, which demands that on occasions such as this one, recognition be accorded to the leading chiefs and other dignitaries before one delivers the message of the day. I want to acknowledge the Musqueam First Nation people on whose territory the University of British Columbia is built. I wish to also recognize in his absence President Stephen Doop, whom I have been informed could not be here with us tonight as he has traveled to Toronto to chair the Association of Universities and Colleges of Canada. I'm sure Professor Doop would have loved to be here. I know this because of my unshakable faith and trust in him as a visionary leader. A trust built over several years of those interactions. I know that Professor Doop has a personal as well as a professional interest and commitment to Africa and the vision of the African Awareness Initiative. Even in his absence, I would still like to say that I count Professor Doop and his wife Paula among my dear friends. I recall as if it were yesterday when Professor Doop first assumed the presidency of the UBC in March of 2006. I was then one of the 10 UBC student ambassadors charged with the responsibility of community and international engagement under the efficient leadership of the former director, Ms. Winnie Shang. It was during my tour of duty as a UBC student ambassador that I had a unique privilege to welcome President Doop and his wife at their official residence and introduce them to the diplomatic corps in this province. A few days prior to my departure from UBC in 2008, I coincidentally ran into Paula at the Royal Bank of Canada at Sassmart and 10th Avenue. To my surprise, she not only greeted me warmly, but also recalled in detail the moments that we shared in previous occasions. And I thought, wow. I paid tribute to all the vice presidents and the faculty deans of the university, especially those present here tonight. I recognize Vice President student Dr. Louis Kowim, the Dean of Forestry, Dr. John Innes. I am excited about my meeting with you and your faculty this Friday. And thanks to the President's office for arranging the meeting. To my Dean, the Dean of Education, Dr. Blair Frank, my office in Ottawa is arranging a special trip back, and that trip would be dedicated to your faculty, whose excellent staff has helped me realize my potential. When a faculty of education, and not that of international relations and political science, has some of its graduates becoming high commissioners, we know there must be something unique about such a faculty. We can postulate that such a faculty is radical, both in its approach and its understanding of the UBC's vision to produce students who will be global citizens. And such is the Faculty of Education, deserving of an outstanding Global Citizenship Award, a new award for UBC administration to think about. Distinguished Vice Presidents, Deans, the fact that you have set aside time to be here is a strong sign of your commitment to what this university stands for in academic world. I recognize the presence of the Department of Curriculum and Pedagogy, led by Dr. Peter Krimet, who is here with us tonight. One of the pillars of your department is its very capable administrator, Ms. Saroj Chand, whom I will ask to stand up. Thank you. Ms. Chand, you have been inspirational to students and to those of us who are now facing working lives issues. I wish to also acknowledge the past and present management of the external programs and learning technologies, as well as the department or the section of community and international engagement, especially retired Professor Jim Gaskell and Dr. Yvonne Brown and former Director Winnie Chang. Your commitment to international students and to Africa was unshakable. First Nation Longhouse Administrator Alana Young and the staff, St. John's College administration and students, especially the former Principal, Dr. Tim Brook and his wife, Faye Sims. You all provided me home away from my home. UBC Go Global, Director Catherine Bowman and Associate Tamara Bolden. You ensure that I do not turn into one of those half-dead inactive UBC alumni. When you asked me to voluntarily facilitate the in-session workshops of the international student learning whom you sent to Africa in the countries of Lesotho, Swaziland, and Uganda, you helped to strengthen my commitment to remain a proactive and a proud alumna of this university. A special recognition goes to the Faculty of Graduate Studies, especially the former Miss Catriona MacDonald, who facilitated the toughest financial logistics with my sponsors for my transfer into my PhD program. Also with us tonight are my former PhD supervisors, Dr. Samson Nashon, and the committee members, whom some of them are unfortunately not here, Dr. Joanna Archibald and two committee members, whom I'm sure they are not here, Dr. Linda Petret and Dr. Pamela Keaton Hall. Dr. Samson Nashon and Dr. Joanna Archibald, if you are here, I would kindly ask you to stand. Thank you very much. I thank you for guiding me to obtain my degree. You are my heroes. I cannot forget to thank Dr. Julie Mayer-Smith, whom I began my master's degree and my early years of PhD. The master's I did not finish as I transferred into PhD program. Congratulations, Professor Mayer-Smith, for your outstanding accomplishments for being appointed now a full professor. Thank you very much for the support that you offered me. Fellow alumni across faculties, you are so many in this house, I cannot count. but I will just mention some names of people that I am able to see close by. Doug, Alana Young, Litlotlo Lefoka, Veronica Finn, Laura Estrada, and the following doctors. Dr. Sandra Scott, Harriet Mutunyi, Michelle Pigeon, Jean Kim, Suchen Jang, Wendy Nelson, Stephen Nair, Jennifer O, and many more others. You have each begun to make your mark in many many areas of our society, and I salute you. 10 years ago, I was among the founding group of UBC Africa Awareness Initiative. To this day, I still share the conviction that it was and is a landmark initiative that profiles UBC's contribution to the international understanding. In that regard, I wish to thank alumna Ms. Veronica Finn for spearheading the launching of the Africa Awareness Initiative, the Faculty of Arts for implementing Africa minor courses as a response to this initiative, my sister Gloria and my brother Robert. Please keep up the momentum because the journey is still long. I also wish to thank and acknowledge the founding and the current student, especially the president and the vice president, Mehak and Benjamin, for keeping the focus on Africa and for inviting me to speak tonight. Lastly but not least, I recognize with gratitude and respect all the many friends of Africa and UBC present here tonight. You come from afar. Some of you come from as far as Victoria, and we thank you for being here tonight. A few short years ago, I was an African UBC student and a UBC ambassador. And today I stand before you as a UBC alumna and really African diplomat as Lesotho's High Commissioner. I must say, this role on any given day calls upon every one of the skills I learned here at UBC, especially skills like advanced multitasking and creative sleep deprivation. The important lesson I have carried with me since my days at UBC is the vision of a world citizen. I understand world citizen to be a person who is concerned about things that affect members of the human family wherever they live. Inspired by this university, I envision a world citizen who is not just concerned, but also equipped with knowledge, relationships, and experiences that enable them to make a difference. UBC's Vision 2010 makes a goal of developing such citizens. I would like us to consider today, in this Africa Awareness Week, the role that Africa is in fact playing in our world. More than that, I would like us to consider the potentials for UBC's involvement in Africa's existing emergence and in educating Africa-savvy world citizens. Now tell me, when you hear the word Africa, what comes to mind? Perhaps a place of stunning natural beauty, perhaps an adventure, perhaps the staggering challenges that sit beside the day-to-day life and the mechanisms of government across the continent. I do not imagine that when I say Africa, the first thought in your mind is, they are such amazing donors to the rest of the world. Yet in December 2011, Globe and Mail columnist Gary Kaplan made just that point. In a thought-provoking blog, he noted that over the past few years, developed Western countries like Canada, Britain, Australia, and the United States of America have been beneficiaries of massive gifts from Africa. African doctors, nurses, and health professionals have flocked into these countries. But the cost of educating them have been, for the most part, by their native lands. The cost estimates cited by Mr. Kaplan range as high as $13 billion. That is not to mention engineers, scientists, and professionals who pass immigration criteria with flying colors, or the skilled trades who flock to Europe and North America once college at home is completed. This gives a new meaning to the term African aid. The world should be giving thanks to it, Africa, a gift to the world. What this counterintuitive realization helps to highlight is that we need to think differently about our relationships with Africa. While facing an overwhelming river of problems, we can focus on building new bridges of possibilities. While facing poverty and infrastructure needs and political complications, we can focus on becoming stronger partners. We can build each other's capabilities to make a difference on both sides of our shrinking world. There are other views of Africa's importance that are not escaping notice. By now, it is widely known that China has increased their level of engagement in Africa. Between 2005 and 2010, Africa was the target of almost a third of China's external investment, according to Heritage Foundation, a think tank organization. This is clearly recognition of the vast and valuable resources that Africa contains. In Africa, just to cite a few, there is cobalt for cell phones, coffee for cell phone users, and platinum and diamonds on which to spend corporate bonuses for those who get them. But a relationship based on extraction of natural or human resources cannot be considered a partnership, certainly not a satisfying or a sustainable one. Good partnerships begin with recognition of complementary strengths and a desire to channel them towards shared goals. It's a reciprocal educational process. Partners share knowledge, experience, and resources. Partners interact a lot because they recognize their interdependence. Partners respect each other and share responsibility in doing so. Partners invest in each other. Partners succeed together. Canada and UBC have a unique opportunity to establish and strengthen partnerships with Africa. Doing so demonstrates the best of our core values, like waging peace by meeting human needs and promoting human rights, like creating opportunities for prosperity for broader populations of people. We can do this. Educators, Canadians, Africans, we have a history of doing this. In the field of higher education, several Canadian universities have recognized the growing importance of Africa by establishing robust African studies programs, sometimes along with the institutes, to extend the reach of the African connection. Dalhousie, Carleton, McGill, and York are among the schools that offer major African studies program, in some cases including PhD programs. These programs offer avenues of awareness and interaction and the building of new possibilities. As I alluded to a while ago, this is not about finding good ways to contribute aid. It is about finding better ways to build partnerships. In the process, build stronger, safer, healthier, more prosperous, and more stable world. That cannot happen without engaging in a more meaningful way with a region that is home to 1 billion people. And such engagement cannot happen any better than first through education. Education engenders a dialogue that deepens our understanding of each other and enables more thoughtful and effective solutions to the challenges that we face together. Indeed, the notion that we do face those challenges together is one of the outcomes of an African Studies program. It's one of the outcomes that an African Studies program can produce. I know that currently UBC offers a small number of courses in the area of African Studies. And I also know that an undergraduate student can arrange this as a major within his or her degree. I am suggesting that there is opportunity for UBC to do something more meaningful and more robust by establishing the African Studies program. A good question is, where would the students come from to fill up a high-octane African Studies program and make it worthwhile and effective for the university? To begin with, there are Canadian students who would love such a program. Listen to these words from Stephen Vizer, an undergrad at another Canadian university, and I quote, "I decided to study African Studies because I went to Lesotho and South Africa when I was 18. And I realized I had such ignorance towards the knowledge of the country and the continent of Africa. I barely even knew what apartheid was. I saw all the opportunities that the Institute of African Studies has to offer. And over the past 2 years, my view and understanding of the continent has grown drastically. Another source of demand is a very natural one. It is large, it is growing. Just from 2008 to 2010, Citizen and Immigration Canada has reported a more than 45% increase in the number of African students coming to Canada for postgraduate studies. That number rose from 11,000 to 16,000 students. Many students would love to be equipped with the knowledge, relationship, and skills to go back home and make a difference in their nations and in their regions. Here is a quote from one such student. And I quote, "Canadian education provides effective, quality curriculum that is flexible enough to accommodate learners' needs and context from remote rural areas to the metropolis. I believe that Canadian international higher education has provided me an opportunity to learn and to practice public diplomacy and international relations. And thus it has helped me to prepare me for my current position." And yes, you guessed it, that second student quote was from me. I am not alone. I'm not the past. I represent the future. It is estimated that by 2030, 50% of Africa will be less than 25 years old. Coming soon are many more examples of me who would love to come to UBC. They would love to find a program that explicitly and powerfully prepares them to be difference makers in the lands of their birth and beyond. To help all that to happen, there are many more funding opportunities to assist bright young people from around the world to pursue their studies in Canada. Funding, for example, for exchange and short-term programs is made available by the government of Canada. What is needed is for the government of Canada to consider increasing the number of funding opportunities that cover long-term programs such as the Canadian Commonwealth Scholarship. Now, what do these testimonials and statistics mean in the end? I believe that they represent an opportunity for UBC to step forward with a renewed, expanded, innovative African Studies program. I believe we can do more to the world citizens who graduate from this mighty university, from within the context of a revised version of Place and Promise, the UBC plan. We can prepare an enriched environment and strengthen programs from which they can gain knowledge, perspectives, and ideas for action regarding Africa. It is and always will be one of the world's key regions. The world citizen walking the campus today will very soon be driving public policy and private sector decisions. UBC decision makers who shape the educational choices available can ensure that this university prepares the students wisely. Can we demonstrate our leadership through an African Studies program that is distinguished by its innovation and impact? With the willingness and the creativity of the people in this room, I am confident that we can. Let's keep working to actualize UBC's Vision 2010. Let's blossom in this time of opportunity for Canada, for Africa, and for UBC, a place of promise. Ke a leboha. Thank you. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you for that wonderful speech, Dr. Tsepa. We recognize that you are very busy, and as thus we are honored that you took the time to not only attend, but to contribute to our conference week. Your contribution is much appreciated, and your words and achievements will remain an inspiration to all. And to show our appreciation, we have a small gift for you here. We would also like to thank Dr. Frank for that wonderful introduction. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have a special performance for you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, next up we have a cultural dance performed by various members of the Africa Awareness Initiative. Please welcome.
Thank you very much for taking us all the way back to the motherland. We should do that more often. And now, I have another honor to introduce to you a young man whom I saw when he first arrived to start his studies at UBC. Benjamin is from the United States of America, but he simply loves Africa, and he's devoted to the movement. I've never seen anyone so devoted to the movement. He's currently serving as the Vice President External, and he'll now give us a breakdown of the events for this week. Help me welcome Ben.
During my first year here at UBC, I found students asking, what can we give to Africa? But no one asked, what does Africa give to us? This year's conference week, we want to highlight all the cultural creativity, technological ingenuity, and academic contributions that Africa has given to our education. It's time to celebrate these gifts of Africa, from Africa with love. Tomorrow at noon, in the Simon K.Y. Lee Global Lounge, our African research event will take place with UBC Faculty of Forestry's very own Dr. Gary Bull and Dr. Jolene Timko. They will be presenting their research projects in Africa, as well as speaking on the unparalleled importance of Africa's ecosystems. In the evening, come and cozy up with friends again in the Global Lounge for the viewing of The First Grader. It is the true story of an 84-year-old Kenyan who fought for his right to attend primary schooling for the first time in his life, and it will begin at 7 p.m. Wednesday, the winner of the 2011 Kane Prize for African Literature, the Zimbabwean native Noviolet Bulawayo, will be joining us from Cornell University to share her literary works and journey, as well as highlighting the importance of African literature in Western higher education. She will be speaking at 4:30 p.m. in the Marine Drive Ballroom. Also feel free to hear her speak at two of the UBC classes, African Studies 351 and English 224. For details of the times and locations of these classes, please see the UBC SSC website. Revolution African Style begins at 5 p.m. in the Lew Institute on Thursday. This event has Dr. Deborah Campbell and Dr. Taylor Owen from the School of Journalism coming together to speak on how the revolutions in North Africa this past spring have creatively connected social media and politics in an innovative and democratic manner unseen before. Follow us over to the Abdullah Science Student Center building at 7:30 p.m. for Africa in Praise. Africa Awareness Initiative partnered with Caribbean African Association to bring you the artistic night full of music, dance, poetry, and storytelling. To top off the week, Sikaliza, Africa in Rhythm, will be held at Abdullah as well. On Friday, this Afro-fusion dance party begins at 8 p.m. Get ready to get down. All the events this week are free and open to the public with the exception of Sikaliza, $5 for AI members and $10 for non-members. If the pursuit of knowledge is not enough for you, all of the events will have food and reception. We hope all are ready to join us this week as we recognize and cherish all the gifts that Africa has given to our academic experience here at UBC. Thank you, and please enjoy your evening.
Thank you for that informative breakdown, Ben. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of our evening. We sincerely hope that you have learned something about Africa, but have also enjoyed the various performances. Before we end this evening, we would like to commemorate the efforts of the people that made this momentous night possible. To all our supporters, sponsors, and partners, thank you.
Special thanks to the Museum of Anthropology for hosting us. We say thank you very much. Dr. Karome Gilbert and Taylor Leverlee for seeing through this partnership. We also thank all the partners, all the performers and volunteers who have made this event possible tonight.
Last but not least, we thank all of you for joining us this evening. Please do continue to join us throughout the week as we continue to reflect on the theme From Africa with Love.
And I love this part. Please be reminded that there are refreshments being provided. We hope you'll stay a bit longer and enjoy the reception. Ladies and gentlemen,
the dream continues.
Good night.
Good night.